Hello everyone, I'm Mark Sargent, and this is Flat Earth Q&A emails number 60. Yep, that's it, 60. And this is where you email me your Flat Earth questions to msargent23 at comcast.net. That's msargent 23 at comcast.net, and I will try to answer them best I can. And there are a lot of emails, so let's get right to it. First one's called Final Proof. Hello, Mark. My name is Dennis. I found, I think, a very simple way to prove the Earth is round or flat. I am a private pilot and research flat Earth for over a year this way. I became aware that we can't live on a ball. I heard through your interviews that business-wise you did well, and I did not so bad either. Important because this test cost around $60,000 US, and of course I want to share these experiences with you or with a few others. If you want to know more about the idea and test, please let me know. My number is, and it's an international number, I don't know what the country code is, looks like 340034. Anyway, his name is Dennis. Anyway, the quick response to that, if you're going to send me an idea, again, send me the freaking idea. Don't give me cliffhangers. You guys have heard me say that before. It's like, oh, all you have to do is, let me know and I'll tell you that. No, tell me the idea. Second thing, don't lead in with it's going to cost $60,000 and you may need the money from me. Because, well, I mean, absolutely, I'm going to write this guy a check, cashier's check. I'm just going to send it to him. First thing I'm going to do is going to email him, say, hey, I'm in. Let me know your address. I will send you $60,000. That is a good example of an email of what not to do. Anyway, but thank you for that, Dennis. Next one is called Flat Earth Model. Hello, Mark. I am interested in a Flat Earth model, but I can't seem to find time to where to buy it or the price. Could you point me in the right direction, please? There's lots of stuff out there. Just, like, you guys don't need me for this. I mean, search engines are out there. Just go into Google or Yahoo or Mozilla or Firefox or whatever, or Safari, and type in Flat Earth models, for sale. The fact the Boolean string would be Flat Earth models sale. You'll be able to find some. They're out there. So let me know if you can't find them. But thank you for that. That's from Jay Lee. This one's called Throne of God Paper. Hi, Mark. I really enjoyed the YouTube video on the discussion with the air traffic controller. I was wondering if you could send the paper called Throne of God M Theory by one of your guests. Thank you so much, John Fay. And yep, because of emails like that, I literally have it sitting on my desktop so that I can say attach file, desktop. It's called Harmony. And it was a paper that was mentioned during the discussion between the subject matter expert series between an air traffic controller and a flight instructor. And he brought it up. So you guys, it's not light reading, probably put you to sleep pretty quick. But hey, you want it, 6 megs, I can shoot it to you through email. Thank you for that. That's from John Fay. This one's called Flat Earth. Mark, I want to thank you for all your effort to explain why the Earth is flat. As I read the Bible and believe the whole book, so I repent for Jesus, then the Bible tells me. And by the way, he's spelling Jesus with a Z. I'd never seen that before. Jesus is coming back, and the whole world shall see him in the clouds. Clouds. Ooh. No spell checker here. Then you can calculate the Earth is flat. Oh, wow, he's not from this country. I copied your URL to show my beloved once, so then I can think about it. Forgive me if my English is not that good. I'm Jewish. And by that, I think he means Israeli, like actually out of Israel. And he goes, I wish you God blesses and all the luck in the world that God angels may protect you, my friend. And that's from Quintana. Holy smokes, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, but I will spell it for you. Heck, why not? Buitendijk. Buitendijk. All right. There you go. Thank you for that. Always amazing how many international ones I get. This one may be let's read it. Why not? Let's crank through it real quick. It's a little long, but it's okay. The other ones are really short. This one's called Hello Again, Mark. Mark, thank you for getting back to me soon with confirmation that I do have the correct email address for you. Although it always cracks me up when people email me and say, "Is this the correct email? I just want to make sure it was a working email." Like nowadays, this isn't like the old days where it took a long time for things to bounce back. Emails bounce back literally instantly if it's not a real email address, unless you send it to somebody completely different. And as far as I know, I don't know any other Mark Sargents. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate you on the truly epic ways and methods you do your YouTube videos, which I recommend all my Flat Earth friends to watch, even having to debunk a few friends who at one time thought that you may have been a shill. I felt it was my obligation to set them straight on this because I can tell a shill within a short time of listening to what they say. By the way, I got to mention this real quick because my grandfather's 100th birthday was just this weekend. One of my cousins came in from Northern California, and I'd forgotten about this, is that she actually was technically a carny. And that's where the whole shill term comes from. She, her father ran the Skytram down at the Puyallup Fair in Washington State. There was a Skytram, and he actually owned and ran it. And so she helped run it. So technically, she was a carny. And since she was an assistant, technically, she was officially a shill, because a shill is someone like a carny's assistant. So there you go. And it was funny because she knew the term very well. She's one of the few people in the world that actually knows what the term, carnies know what that term means. So if you go to the fair and like whisper the word shill, and they don't consider it derogatory at all. It's like, oh yeah, it's carny's assistant. Anyway, as my friends know me very well and know that I am a guy who sometimes goes beyond the nuts and bolts of a subject and can usually explain things almost to a molecular level of the science behind the subject in question, due to me not just working in a particular industry but learning more from others around me, knowledge is power and information is worth more than money. Being someone who has signed the Official Secrets Act or non-disclosures in many of my job titles, I must ask you never to use my name or email address in any capacity, although you can refer to me in your videos as Stealth Explorer, all caps, if you must, which is an Instagram name I use as part of my free of the system identity. I now consider myself a member of the Freeman movement in the UK, studying common law, canon law, and admiralty law in my spare time to prevent being screwed over by the same powers who put globes in schools and educational facilities. I am going to send you emails in the very near future in relation to your Flat Earth subjects and touch upon the questions and information that didn't come up but I thought were relevant. I don't want to bore you with long-winded emails, as I do break things down beyond the nuts and bolts when I can. I shall concentrate them to only one subject at a time rather than give you pages of info, making it easier for you to find and extract and relevant information you wish to use and point out in your videos. I feel I should tell you about me and my background so you can get an idea of who I am. I think if you think that people think you're nuts or crazy, then imagine what they think of me. I don't have a name anymore except for the fictional corporate entity named on my birth certificate, which is a surrender or ownership my parents gave to the government at my time of conception and registration, and is now owned by the Corporation of the United Kingdom. I was conceived and live as a freeman in the corporate land called Scotland, a country which my government did not buy or purchase from anyone in history, a bit like two fleas fighting over which one owns the dog they live on. I was a ship's carpenter in my younger days, and still am, and grew up playing with firearms, a bit of a marksman, and was into most blood sports. I've worked on most of the British naval warship frigates, aircraft carriers, and submarines, then moved to super yachts as a builder and fit-out carpenter. Studied automotive engineering when I was a boy racer in my play days. I now have no registered address on my land and live free of all systems within the UK. I'm a van dweller, RV and motorhome, paying no taxes and living unregistered, all legally. I'm now currently educating myself prior to sitting my tests as a ship's captain, learning celestial navigation, astrology, astronomy, geology, geography, geometry, trigonometry, mathematics, court plotting, and radar. Here is where I calculated the Earth must be flat, and I'm never usually wrong. I love that term. I'm never usually wrong. How about almost never wrong? Whatever. I'm a bit like a Rottweiler with a bone when I get started on something. I'm now a true flat earther thanks to you. Finding your videos on YouTube, knowing something goes beyond believing something. I now try to educate every ball earther I meet, no matter what credentials they have. PhDs and the highest levels of education don't stop them from being idiots. If they're not with me, then they're against me. I like that term. And thus makes them part of the problem. Okay, I'm babbling on here. I just want to give you a little insight of who's emailing you. 2 more things before I go. Firstly, stay safe, my friend. If someone sends you food in the post, even someone you know, give the first one to the dog. What? No dog? I'd buy one and wait 24 hours before tucking in yourself. You'd be surprised what either a government or some sick person would do to shed someone else. Secondly, if stopped by police at any time, only ever give your name, never give your address, as this creates joinder, and never say you understand, meaning stand under, thus giving them legal, never say you understand, thus giving them legal consented power over you, and no comment all the way. Sorry I had to chuck that wee bit in there. I'd hate to see you disappear from YouTube. Glad to hear you're a gamer too. Keep up the good work, my friend. I'll mail you tomorrow and get some more Flat Earth stuff with you. Take care for now. And no name, because he doesn't want me to give his name. And yeah, again, remember in the States, though, when you hand somebody your driver's license, and almost everybody's got one, your address is already on there. In fact, they look at it immediately and kind of use that as a verification. So you live on such and such, yeah? So I don't know if we can do much about that over here in the States, but thanks for the advice. Moving on. This one's called, Please Send Me the Coast to Coast Audio. Hi, Mark. Keep up the good work, and thank you in advance for sending the audio. Earth is flat, and you are one cool dude. That reminds me of that Ferris Bueller. You know, he's a righteous dude. Sincerely, Alma O. And yeah, if anyone wants the coast-to-coast interviews, I've got them also on my desktop because I have to send them out a lot because I can't put them on YouTube. Because coast-to-coast, out of all the interviews I've ever done, they're the only ones that gave me a copyright strike. And I overturned it because I actually didn't put it up there. They made me sign a thing saying, you can't put them up there. I was like, okay, fine, I won't put them up there. But then they had some intern. He just goes through YouTube all the time, just throws out copyright strikes like candy, regardless of what the video is about. It's like if you mention coast to coast in a video, and say they'll I don't know if they changed it since then. It was over a year ago when I got smacked, but you can get it overturned. The point is they're kind of strict on that stuff. So I'll send it to you through WeTransfer. WeTransfer, by the way, I'm not necessarily endorsing it, but it's pretty slick. You can send 2 gigs to anybody you want for free. You don't even really have to sign up for much, if anything. Let's see. This one's called South Pole. Hi, Mark. What do you think? When circumnavigating the South Pole heading west, if the Earth is a globe, then the ice wall curves off to the left. If the Earth is a flat plane, then the ice wall curves off to the right. Highest regards, Tony Isabel. Yes, you would be right. But since we're talking about such a large distance, you're never going to notice that curve. You're going to look far off into the distance, and it is not going to look like it's curving really at all, because you're not going to have enough distance to see that sort of curve, really. Or maybe you might. I don't know. But then again, you've got to get close enough to the coastline to do it. And the weather's got to be fairly clear. And plus, you're assuming... Well, the other problem there is you're assuming you've got to find a place where the coastline is also straight, somewhat, it's not jagging out, because if you get one peninsula that juts out in front of you, it's just going to screw up the whole thing. It's a nice idea, though. I like that. I do like that. That's from Tony Isbell. Thanks, Tony. This one's called Flat Earth Tupac Song for your playlist. Yo, Mark, I woke up and Tupac Shakur was writing lyrics in my kitchen. So we grabbed some breakfast and then hit the studio. Before he left, he insisted I send you the track for your Flat Earth playlist. It must be really important to the movement. Staring through my rear view. As always, thank you for being an inspiration, Zane. And yeah, Zane sends me songs all the time. And he creates these little intros, like he's actually writing the song with the ghosts of the deceased artists. Hopefully he's not actually seen the ghosts, but they're fun songs, and he's written a lot of Flat Earth songs, so thank you for that. Love the fact that our Flat Earth music playlist, if you guys want to check it out, there's so many great Flat Earth songs out there that, in fact, almost none of them are copyrighted. You can use them for whatever we want. Just type in Flat Earth music playlist, or Flat Earth music playlist. I think the last one, the compilation one I did, it's like 200 and something songs. It's called Flat Earth Music 2015 to present. And it's great stuff in there. Love it. All right, this one's called, Hey, please send Coast to Coast audio files. Mark, I would like to listen to the Coast to Coast interviews. Thanks, Mark. from Dan McDonald. Yep, we'll send those to you. This one's from called Flat Earth Meetup Saturday, January 27th. Yep, that one already happened. That was one of the meetups, and I won't read up exactly what happened there, but it was really cool. I did the promo for it. And just so you know, if you're going to do a meetup in your city, and it's real easy, all you have to do is pick a restaurant, pick a bar, pick a mall, pick a library, whatever it is, and email me and say, yeah, we're going to do this date, and I will make you give me the date, the location, and the contact info you want to use, and I will make I've got the templates. I'll make a quick promo for you, and then you can put it on your channel, and hopefully everything goes well. If you want to see what they look like, just type into YouTube, type in Flat Earth Meetup, and don't put any filters on it, and you can see all the meetups that have been done, and you can tell the ones I've done. You don't even have to look at the channel name. It's generally, I put everything in the title and the thumbnail. So check them out if you get a chance. In fact, I will be going to, little side note, I will be going to a Flat Earth meetup in fact, I think there's one happening in Colorado Springs today, and I'm going to be going to the next one, which is a month from now. So I think March 3rd down in Colorado Springs. They're flying me down for it. I will fly in to your meetup. Yeah, pay for the airfare and a hotel, but I'll absolutely fly in for your meetup. Done a couple of them, and it's been fun. So I'm going to be going down to Colorado Springs, staying in Springs, and Bob from Globebusters is going to be there, and we're going to rap about stuff and meet people, and it'll be great. Real positive experience. Flat Earth love. Catch it. That's a t-shirt. I should get the rights to that. This one's called Extreme Interest. Hello, Mark. My name is Sonia. I live in New York. I've been looking into and mildly obsessed, really, with all these conspiracies for quite some time. Mostly New World Order, Illuminati, brainwashing. Every time I think of Illuminati, I think of that Taco Bell commercial where they're literally using Illuminati and calling it Belluminati. It's pretty clever, actually. Cloning or replacing and anything extra or ultra-terrestrial, and find your videos intriguing and applaud what you're doing. Thank you. Sonia. Thank you, Sonia. Awesome. This one's called ISS Fake Images, Baja, Mexico. Greetings. Let's see. I don't know if you've seen this video clip yet, but it was interesting because of the two horrendous NASA blunders. One, the size of the Earth in relation to Mexico is way out of proportion. Two, the ISS tracker shows Africa as its location versus the live feed. Here's the link. Yeah, regards, Jeff. And I was just thinking, you're probably wondering, it's like, well, wait, you're not reading anything about the SpaceX, Elon Musk putting the Tesla in orbit type thing. Why? I'm still working on January emails, so it's going to be a while before I get to those. But there's so many people putting stuff out there. The whole point is, just a quick side note, I won't spend much time on this. The whole Tesla SpaceX thing was utter junk, utter crap. And I will maybe on Strange World, I'll read it. I had a statement as far as the whole break down the entire thing, because the newspaper from London contacted me and they wanted my opinion on the whole SpaceX thing. I was like, oh, it's a bunch of crap. You know what? Maybe I will read that. Maybe I'll read. I'll end I'll end this thing with the my SpaceX rant. In fact, let me grab the. Sorry, I'm not going to edit this. We're just going to walk over here, grab it, because I printed it out because my family gathering this weekend, and I had it in my pocket just in case they were grilling me on it. So I will read this as my last thing today. All right? So don't let me forget. Remember, it's just you and me. All right, this one's called Survival Guide and Joe Rogan. Hi, Mark. I've been listening to you for some time now. I really got into Flat Earth because of Joe Rogan's podcast. It was the episode. He had his friend Eddie Bravo on. He brought up Flat Earth, and Joe was arguing about it. I've been a fan of Joe for a long time and grew up knowing everything he does. Well, yesterday's podcast, he had a guest talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Joe said that he will be back again in February. This time, they will have someone debating Flat Earth. I was shocked when he said that. I hope it isn't someone that he can't debate. It needs to be someone like you or even Eddie that will ask the right questions. I just wanted to let you know about the debate coming up. Thanks for everything you do. Keep it up and stay flat. That's from Matthew Evans. And yes, good point. And one, if you ask for the survival guide, absolutely. You put survival guide in an email, you send it to me, And remember, my email and my phone number and my physical address are in the body of every single video I do now. I will send you its survival guide. I just shoot it to you through the email. It's 2 megs. Make sure you print it out. Don't be one of those people that actually has a digital copy of a survival guide, then the lights go out. And it's like, oh, hey, I had a survival guide, but it's on my computer, and now my battery's dead. Because that'd be sad. The other thing is my physical address is out there. So if you want to send me anything, I get postcards, I get physical mail, I get whatever. If you want to send me anything, whatever, I don't care what it is. I get lots of flat earth ideas and swag. And one guy, Corey, that went down to the conference, he sent me a massive coffee table through UPS, which was amazing. So that was really, really cool. As far as the debate goes, yeah, you can look on Joe Rogan's schedule right now. And right now he has penciled in, but there's no date on it yet, a debate between Neil deGrasse Tyson and Eric Dubay. Why Eric Dubay? Because Eddie Bravo, Joe Rogan's friend, really likes Eric Dubay. And he even interviewed him at one point. And Neil has never, why I'm doubtful? Because Neil has never done a debate with anybody. In fact, he's gone out of his way to say, I don't debate people. I never have and I never will. Someone who says that generally sticks to it. Now, why Joe thinks that he can talk him out of that, I don't know, because there's no reason why Neil has to do this. There's nothing. It does not benefit his career in the slightest. Neil is in the final stages of his career, and he can just keep going on where he can keep doing what he's doing right now for the rest of his life and never change anything. He'll be fine. So doing this debate does not help him. So if he does it, hey, great. It'll help us. I'll be a little suspicious of what happens there, but anyway. So thank you for that. That's from Matthew. This one's called Flat Earth Rice Experiment. Hi, Mark. I got creative with rice experiment and wanted to share my results. I decided to label one jar Globe Earth and another Flat Earth, encloses a picture of the results after a month. I assume the mold has to do with the fact that there are less Flat Earthers and too many globe heads hating us. But I know we are growing. Peace, Alma. What? Do I have to look at this picture? Hang on, I'm downloading it right now. Flat Earth, Globe Earth. There's more mold in the Flat Earth than there is in the Globe Earth. Interesting. Don't know where she's going with that. Thank you, though. Love people thinking outside the box. Great stuff. This one's called Question on Earth Curvature. Hi, Mark. I found you while surfing YouTube on the Flat Earth Theory. I feel like I'm doing the same thing that you did a while back, which is trying to find facts for one or the other theory. My question is, I keep hearing talk about the curvature calculations, and I don't get anywhere close to what I'm hearing from the flat earthers such as yourself. The actual curvature of the Earth is approximately 8 inches per mile, and I keep hearing that the curvature is a certain amount of feet per mile. That's a huge discrepancy as far as making any accurate calculations. Can you clarify what calculations you have been using for this, please? Thanks. His name is also Mark, and I will put this in my to-do pile, but because I will email him, because you know what he's missing. He is missing, it's 8 inches per mile squared. So that's what mainstream science says. 8 inches per mile squared, which means it's 8 inches per mile per mile. Kind of like 32 feet per second per second. So if it's 2 miles, it's 2 times 2. You just take whatever mile it is, times it by itself, and then once you're done with that, then you take that and you multiply by 8 inches. So if it's 3, it's 3 times 3 is 9, times 8 is 72. If it's 50, it's 50 times 50, which is 2,500, times 8, which is whatever that is, divided by feet, which is about 1,670 feet. So, you see what I mean? It gets worse and worse and worse. Okay, moving on. Hi, and a few questions. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Okay, I'm going to rattle off these questions. I am not going to answer them. Any email where I see more than 3 question marks, I will read you the questions. I'm not going to answer them because, you know what? I'll let you guys answer them in your own minds. Here we go. But this, again, this is what happens when you put the seed in somebody's head. All right? Hi, Mark. Thanks for your depth and the big image that you carry. I do have a few questions. Do you have quick access to a few experiments that are well prepared and instructed so I can do them with kids and students? Satellites. What are your conception of satellites? Geostationary and moving ones. Are they high altitude hot air balloons or similar as Google does with its Wi-Fi project for Africa? And whatever it is if I would have a choice, I wouldn't make them moving but stationary. However, GPS seems to move. If I ask my devices for the visible ones, it's changing all the time. If I were to do a conspiracy, I would involve as little people as possible. So I would do the trick with the satellites, not the devices, chips, and software. What do you see? Has there been any experiments to see satellites whatsoever from the private high-altitude hot air balloons or the ISS? One aspect might be helpful is to track the earthquake waves from the flat picture in mind, also and specifically regarding the echoes from the borders, which must behave differently than the quake wave moves around a ball planet. And these are all bullet points, by the way. When I understand perspective correctly, the visibility for the sun and the moon would be around a radius half a diameter, but it's less than the ground. I do not quite understand why. Do you understand? When I understand perspective correctly, I would also see the sun and the moon longer with a good teleobjective. Has that been tested? I live in Switzerland in the mountainous area. Oh, okay. At least we now know they're from Switzerland. And all the horizons are mountains, where this doesn't apply. Well, you're going to be in trouble there. Before I went into depth with Flat Earth, extraterrestrials were given. Star Trek was my favorite. Now I see I have to reconsider. What is your actual point of view regarding extraterrestrials? If I follow old scriptures, at the North Pole, there would be a magnetic mountain. Now it's said, I did not check, that true north is moving. What is your insight into that? I did not find so far pictures of sun and moon being at the same time, specifically not ones where such a moon would not be full. Do you have any, or are there any given dates where it could be watching out of the night? I check sun and moon spectra on the internet, and they seem not so much to differ. The moon is a bit weaker or in the higher bands. Do you have more insights about that? The cooling light is in which bands? Oh my God. Really? You want to ask me what the spectral breakdown is of the cooling light of the moon? I don't have the tech to measure that. Or something even different. From my point of view, sun and moon must be balls anyway, not projections inside a dome. If they would be flat rounds, and they're far away, way sundown or sunrise, then they would be very elliptic. But they are round them too, so I'd rather see them as balls. However, the moon shows always the same side, which makes it a bit harder to think. If I look from far left and also from far right, I should see some of the back in both views if it's a ball. Do you have any creative solution for that, except that we live in a simulation? On handy displays, which reflect the sun, I have 8-ray bundles that I see. It might be in my eyes or a polarization thing. I am not an optical engineer, but it never made sense to me regarding a solar-centered sun system. Do you have an insight there? Thank you for being the big clue regarding the movie of angry astronauts. The point that they recognize we are being watched and responsible. That's key to me. And thanks for using a system and greed for truth purposes. I love that. I use that all the time, but not yet in this area. So much for today. Being curious for your answers. With best regards from Switzerland, David. Yeah. All right. Anybody that asks that many questions, I usually refer them to just the top list of flat earth videos that are out there on YouTube. There's so much content out there, which is why I say, look, yeah, ask your own questions, but I also say do your own research. That way it'll minimize the questions you have for me. This guy, you know, it's obvious in his head, but he hasn't watched a whole bunch of videos. Yeah, I appreciate that you watched my video. Watch a whole bunch of other people's videos first. Then, you know, start seeing what's rattling around in your head. It'll help. This is called Ice, Water, and Convection and in Space. Hi again, Mark. Been watching your shows for a while and have communicated with you previously. Firstly, thanks for considering the info I shared with you regarding my memories of Flight New Zealand 901. In that communication, I stated that 901 was out of Invercargill, New Zealand. This was a slight error in my memory of the events. It flew out of Auckland. I was living in Invercargill at the time. Sorry, I've checked my other recollections of the event, and they are close to the facts as I can get without deep web research, which is beyond my computer skills. Also, last week, my morning paper ran a story on how the higher you are up the ladder, so to speak, you become immune to persecution for lying to or misleading authorities. That's Power 101. I mean, everybody should know that. He who has the gold makes the rules. And he who has the gold also gets to change the rules. So, yeah, presidents get impeached, but presidents aren't the ultimate in power. Anyway, it's the people with the 12-digit bank accounts. Used as an example of this immunity was Flight NZ901 and the following royal inquiry. Justice John Mahon's pronounced statement that in all the years of the judiciary, he has never heard of such an orchestrated litany of lies. None of the liars were held accountable for the lying. Further to this justice retired later that year, possibly from disillusion, being he was considered as an upstanding, honest judge. Now to the reason for this current communication. I'm not a scientist, but I do tend to analyze stuff that I have an interest in. Some say OCD. I like to say intensive. I may be totally off track here, but it must be put forward to your consideration. My understand is water boils in a vacuum. Correct. Yes, it does. If anyone doesn't know, water boils at a fairly high temperature when it's on a stove at sea level at 212. But as you get higher in altitude, where there's less oxygen, where there's less atmosphere, period, it takes less and less to boil water, and that screws up recipes. In fact, you have to buy cookbooks. Like living in Denver, where you're up 5,000 feet, you have to buy special cookbooks, or at least be aware of it, because the boiling temperature of water is lower. And if you put water in a straight up vacuum, I mean a pure vacuum, it'll boil instantly. Anyway, it goes, here it is. If the comet tail is ice and it's getting continuously radiated as it sits in the sun's radiation 24/7, no days or nights in space, but you get the point, and there's no way for the radiation to dissipate, so it builds up heat, why it does not melt the ice tail, turning it to water, then boiling water to steam? Being that the ball is supposedly created by ice dislodging as it gets heated from the sun, the crystals in the tail are smaller, so heat up quicker. Could it be that what we are being told of these comet-type phenomena are not ice? Regards, Stocky. Yeah, Stocky, I don't know, but you got to remember we're talking about comets there, and I don't believe that anything about comets are real. We can simulate comets in a planetarium. Does that mean they're made out of ice? Nope. They're not, so I really don't bother myself with comets. Meteors, yeah, maybe a different thing, but I've yet to run into a video of a meteor smacking the ground. Love to see one of those eventually. This one's called Help with Disproving This Video. Hi there, I've been arguing on Facebook group about Flat Earth, and while I have most of the information, someone posted a series of videos that brought some questions about the Flat Earth map. If you have time to watch them and maybe come up with a debunk of what they say, it would be handy. I will include a link to the second one, which I think is about 17 minutes, since writing all the questions would take a while, and some are based on longitude and latitude. And there's a YouTube link, and the video is called, it's a year ago, Testing Flat Tards Part 2. Whatever. It's done by Cool Hard Logic. Big shock there. He's got 80K subscribers. Wow, it's got 400, pushing about 500,000 views, and what's really amazing, it's got 17,000 comments. So yeah, we're not going to comment on that. Cool Hard Logic, sorry, he's super science based and he hates us, absolutely hates us. So nope, not even gonna look at it. No point. He is lost. There's nothing we can do for that guy, but eventually he will come around. By force, if necessary. This one's called WTF. Oh boy. OMG. Fundamental understanding of everything, all caps, has just been blown to pieces, yet liberating to open the mind to limitless possibilities. Surely with lens technology, a shape other than a sphere could be used to see beyond perceivable distance, therefore to show an accurate horizon. Yet also funny how all optical lenses are spherical. F this, which I have happened on by chance, has blown me away. Had to contact you. Thank you. Michelle Gardner, England. Thank you, Michelle. Nice to hear from you. This one's called Throne of God Paper. Mark, I am new to Flat Earth, but quickly finding that there is no way around it. I recently watched... Oh, it's funny. I see what you did there. I recently watched a video on YouTube. You were interviewing a gentleman named Dale that wrote a paper called The Throne of God. During this interview, it was offered up to anyone who wanted a copy. I would love to read this if you still have it available. Thank you, Elizabeth. And yep, sent that to her. This one's called Flat Earth Music. Mark, I was listening on today Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes and heard you might be looking for some more Flat Earth tracks to add to your playlist. I noticed you didn't have any Mr. Matty Moses. He has hardly any likes on his stuff, but I think it's great. I wish he would have put Flat Earth in the title. Yeah, that's another thing. And veterans and rookies alike, look, put Flat Earth somewhere in the title of your video. I don't care if it's like a dash at the end or whatever. If you don't put Flat Earth in the title of your video, a lot of people are going to miss it because they're just typing Flat Earth into YouTube. And if it isn't there, I mean, yeah, it'll show up for your subscribers, of course. You have a bunch of subscribers, you know, they'll get the notice for the video anyway. But anybody on the outside, there's so much Flat Earth content, you don't want to... Stuff gets lost in the shuffle, even with Flat Earth in the title. But if you don't have it in there, it's not even in the shuffle at all. So please do that. He has his whole album on SoundCloud and YouTube. Here's a little taste. Both these are great and all about Flat Earth. The rest of the album is mixed conspiracy type stuff, but all great. Let me know what you think. I've listened to Who I Am album and I don't know how many times. Very catchy, especially the second one. Cheers, Mark, and enjoy. Yep. Matty Moses is, in fact, let me click on it real quick till I get the title of the channel right. Yeah, it's called Mr. Matty Moses. So that's kind of fun. This one's called There Are No Forests on Flat Earth Wake Up YouTube. Mark, your volcano theory conflicts with the enormous trees. Try and wrap your head around it? I don't think it conflicts with the enormous trees at all. Because the enormous trees look like they were built a long time ago. So I don't necessarily think they have to do with volcanoes. But again, if it dovetails in some way, I got no problem with it. My theories don't conflict with much, that's for sure. This one's called Atheism. Dear Mark, I suspect the only religious flat earthers are American. Oh, man, you are wrong there. Really? The only religious flat earthers are American? Nobody in Europe, nobody in South America, nobody in Asia. Yep, come on. I apologize for the Mayflower contaminating your fair land as a former UK citizen. Morals are survival characteristics, not religious. You are a very intelligent person as demonstrated by your many presentations, but stick to evidence only. It seems a logical conjecture at present that there could be a dome, but is conjecture. Rather like the Masons pulling the strings, conjecture. Even your speculation of why the authorities are keeping Flat Earth hidden is just that. Please, when eventually one of these eggheads takes the bait and debates you, please just stick to the evidence which you guys have painstakingly amassed. With best wishes, Len Mooring. Well, noted. How about that? One word response to that email. This one's called, wow, another one. Flat Earth Atheist. We'll see. Thank you for responding to my last email. Not the same guy. I will repeat how can atheists come to the Flat Earth party when they're clearly not invited? I believe that is unbecoming of the Flat Earth truth. Sir, a suitcase with $1 million in it was found in a daycare. The daycare spent unreluctantly, I don't know if that's a word, their personal money, used multiple media outlets and years of personal time trying to find the owner of that $1 million suitcase. The daycare couldn't simply understand that they were the owners of the $1 million suitcase. It belongs to them now. All the time and resources they spent trying to find the owner of the suitcase was in vain. I ask you, sir, does energy that hides exist? Thank you so much for your hard work, Flat Earth Atheist. I don't know what that analogy, and I love analogies. What is that got to do? Okay, what does that got to do with atheism and Flat Earth? I just don't know. And where are you going with this? I mean, okay, $1 million is found in a daycare. Sorry, that plot line all of a sudden self-destructs immediately because depending on who finds it, it turns into a huge, not necessarily conspiracy, but greed takes over. Who found it? The janitor? It's going home with him. The president? It depends. If more than one person finds the briefcase, and also depends if it's a man or a woman. If it's a man, they're absolutely stealing it. They're taking it. Why would they turn it into anyway? And by the way, if you find $1 million in a briefcase, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. Find $1 million in a briefcase. First thing, get rid of the briefcase. You don't know if there's a tracking device on it. You don't know if it's like a metal briefcase. You just dump the briefcase, keep the money, make sure you go through all the bills, make sure there's no sort of tracking thing in it, if all possible. And the other thing is, if it's only found by one person, generally they'll take it. People are the same wherever you go. If it's found by multiple people, well, then you got that problem. It's like, whoa, what do we do? And if they're friends, like, well, again, if they're guys, they're probably going to split it. If they're really upstanding people, it's like, oh, I mean, $1 million in a briefcase kind of reminds me of nowadays. Sorry, I've watched a lot of movies and television. Reminds me of that. Was it the Chris Rock line? Or I think so. Or it was a comedian, but I think it was Chris Rock where he was saying that anyone that goes to an ATM to withdraw money, $400 at 3 a.m. is never doing it for something good. If you have $1 million in a briefcase, generally it is not for something good, especially nowadays. $1 million in cash. So, sorry, I don't even know what to do with that analogy. I'm moving on to something else. Let's go to the next email, and then we've got another 10 minutes, and we'll do the SpaceX email that I wrote. I'm basically going to read you what I sent to the reporter at the newspaper in Britain. Okay, this one's called No Subject. Hi, my name is Aisha. I was watching your Flat Earth video and have thought that moves on another ripple with your flat earth theory. Let's go into dimensions. I believe the earth may be perceived as flat from a second dimensional point of view. If we think of dimensional shifts at the end of each 26,000 year precession, we can understand this. Each dimension has a frequency or wavelength that the molecules vibrate at. One dimension would be a rock's mineral electrons, protons. These beings would communicate and recognize each other on this one line. Build up to the second dimension. This would be a plane of existence where animals, plants, and DNA of a human would communicate with the earth as a living entity. The organisms on this plane would not only recognize vibrations on plane of existence, but also the plane beneath them. They may not be able to communicate with each other, but they recognize their existence. The third dimension is where human become of, wow, not the best grammar in the world, but that's okay. We'll work with this. Of aware of their state of existence. At this wavelength, we can communicate with each other and recognize lower dimensional entities, but cannot communicate with them. This shift we recognize in history of you. Dig a little deeper. There are fourth and fifth dimensions here on this place with reside. Yeah, I actually kind of agree with that. But we cannot perceive them because of the limits placed on our mind. Yep. There are things hidden by conditioning. They do not want us to know the truth because if we free our minds and shift consciousness, who would be the slaves? How fun would it be if you could be telekinetic? What if I said our fifth dimensional evolution can, because in that frequency we can access more brain functions while we still recognize the lower dimensions? We would be powerful to those that haven't tapped into. Who would be impressed if we could all do it? It's the part of the video where you are talking about the fence. I think the reason the earth is perceived as flat is because if we were to view the earth from outside of earth, we cannot understand her outer being, so we would perceive it from a two-dimensional standpoint. When someone says, how do you see the earth? Our minds naturally think of the grass, roads, waters, mountains, and the sky above. That's earth that relates to self, the 3D version. But what if earth is an entity, is more of a big planet that opens her eyes to see the sun and Jupiter and Mars and the universe surrounding her, things we do not understand. When we cannot understand a concept, we create fabrications of explanations to make logical, sane conclusion to keep us trapped in our illusion. Thanks for your time, Aisha Mohammed. Cool. Wonderful. All right, let's see if we have time for one or two more before we do the SpaceX thing. This one's called Flat Earth. Hi, Mark. This is Sunny. Spelled it all caps. Really is from Sunny. I just watched this video on YouTube, and the YouTube video is called, oh, they hide God with the biggest lie ever from Flat Earth Clues, but this is the one from Peter Pan. Yeah, another mirror. He's got 20,000 subs because of this video, and 8,000 up, 1,000 down, and 5,000 comments. That's a lot. First of all, I believe in higher power and I believe in ghosts and everything too. But on the other side, I completely believe why we're not gods. And this is one of the most interesting topics to me too. You know what? Maybe I'll send her to my main channel because she only got that. I mean, Peter Pan's got 1 million hits. I don't think I even have a video on my channel with 1 million with 1 million hits on its own. And people are getting 1 million hits. Yeah, because remember, the clues are Creative Commons license. You can take them, put them on your channel. Come up with something catchy, broadcast it, and you can pick up the YouTube nickels. This one's called The Way of Happiness. Hi, Mark. How are you? I read this magazine and felt like sharing it with you. I hope you read it. Best regards, Jorge from Brazil. P.S. Keep up the good work in exposing the truth about Flat Earth. And the magazine is called, I'm pulling up the picture of it. And it's called what? Awake Magazine, The Way of Happiness. Issue 1, 2018. Huh. Nice. Cool. The Way of Happiness. Well, that's very nice. We won't end on that one, though. See if we can do one more. One or two more. This one's called Greetings. Hello, Mr. Mark. Mr. Mark. My mom sometimes calls me that. My name is Andre, and I'm from Serbia, living currently in Jordan. I've watched your documentary, Flat Earth Clues, and it was very interesting to watch. I've been researching about this subject many years now, and I realized that the only way to know for sure is to go to the South Pole directly, and I was thinking about forming an expedition to the South Pole. I'd like to hear your opinion on this matter. Thank you for your time. Honest Corey. And yeah, South Pole, going to the South Pole, remember, South Pole is dictated. What they tell you the South Pole is what they want you to believe the South Pole is. Everything about the South Pole expedition, you get there, basically the government's telling you, oh yeah, here's the South Pole, that's it. Might as well ask them to give you a tour of Nevada, and then they skip over where Area 51 is. This one's called Flat Earth Response to AM 1650 Radio. Mark, I think the Flat Earth community is large enough now to have coordinated a response team of, say, 100,000 members to respond to broadcast companies like AM 1650. We could also email the radio station's advertisers and let them know we are boycotting their brand if there are any future editorials of this type. Well, you got to remember, the media is the media, freedom of the press. They can report it any way they want. And let them make fun. It's as long as they're making fun of it, it's in their heads. Everybody mocks it the first time. Everybody does. So I'm not worried. Thank you though for that idea. And let's see here. Let's do one more, and then we'll read the quick SpaceX thing. Okay, guys. So this one's called Peter Pan Explained. Perfect. This is perfect because there were so many people that were emailing me or texting me and saying, hey, Peter Pan. They were addressing me as Peter Pan, and I thought it was a gay thing. It's like, really? Peter Pan? It's like, wait, why? Where? I had no idea where it was coming from. And he writes, Mark, I wrote this on your Flat Earth Clues Strange World 134 episode comment section. On December 1st, 2015, the Peter Pan channel posted, and they basically reposted a video from another guy called They Hide God with the Biggest Lie Ever, Flat Earth Clues, which is the clues in a movie format, which has over 800, at that time it had 874,000 hits, and that's right now, and he wrote that, wow, 3 weeks ago, now it's over 1 million. The thumbnail uses the UN flag and a Pac-Man board, which is one of the slides that I used. One of my early slides. And on October 4th, 2016, he posted a mirror of Mark's Flat Earth Clues director's cut as well. And that's from Bill, part of my research department. He calls himself research. And he does. Bill's done a lot of great stuff for me. He rips anything that's out there in media, he can rip. And he's better than I am at that. So that's great. So anyway, that explains the Peter Pan thing. I don't know any of the channels that are mirror. I don't talk to anyone. So like Dr. James and Leisure X and Peter Pan and any of the other people that mirror my stuff, I don't know who they are. Never, ever. You can take my stuff. I'm never going to copyright strike you on it because it's Creative Commons license. And that's what Creative Commons means. It means it cannot be struck. because you're just giving it to people. It's like penicillin, really. Okay, so let's end that. And we still have a little time, and still so many emails. I still got half of January, and these are just the ones I'm willing to read, not the one, I delete so many emails that come in. Okay, so got this piece of paper here, and I printed this out because, again, it was for my family, but I'll read it to you real quick, which is what a British newspaper said. What are your thoughts on SpaceX? Ready? And make sure everything's still working here. Yep, it is. Okay. I respond thusly. My thoughts on the SpaceX Heavy launch? I dedicated my last Strange World show to it on Tuesday, but here are some highlights. 1. 3 camera angles on the car, but despite orbit on light and dark side of the Earth, not a single frame with stars in it. And I know a lot of people saying, well, it's light refraction and you're not going to see stars. Fine. That's why I made it number 1. But I keep going. Number 2, at the altitude the car was released, they would have been in the middle of the satellite belts, and yet no video or still shots of a satellite at any distance. Thousands of objects, polished aluminum reflects sunlight very well. I'd like to explain that real quick because there was like a small YouTube channel called The Geek Squad or something like 1,000 subs. And they were going off. It's like, whoa, no, the satellites are too far away. It's like, no. In the vacuum of space, remember, there's no atmosphere, technically. You can see very, 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 very far. Very far. Because there's no atmosphere. Remember, when we look at a distance, we're looking through a soup. The stuff you're breathing is just a soup. It's like a thin version of water. Water is 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. And what you're breathing right now is 4 parts nitrogen, 1 part oxygen. And so it's really, really soupy. So you can only see out so far. People say, why can't you see Japan from Los Angeles? It's like, well, because the density of the atmosphere is eventually going to get in the way. But if you remove the atmosphere, if it was a vacuum, you should be able to see it. The point is, if you're in space, a shiny object in a vacuum, 2 objects, you should, and the sun reflecting off of polished aluminum, you should see all sorts of little silvery flashes all over the Earth. Anyway, moving on. Number 3, no video or still shots with the moon in frame, because that would give a 3D point of reference, and you could then determine location of the car. Location would have to match continents below, and it wouldn't. Yep, that's another great little mystery. Again, out of sight, out of mind. It's missed, and that is fine. You show the Earth. That's all they're showing. The blue Earth, the blue Earth. Oh, the sun, the blue Earth, the sun. No stars. Blue Earth, no satellites. But the one thing that was really, really missing was the moon. No moon. Find me a chunk of video with the moon in it. That should be in there. Thing was spinning around, and remember, it was supposedly quite a ways away from the Earth, so it should be way, way closer to the moon. Why not? And did it ever go by the moon? Do we have a trajectory? Did it go anywhere near the moon, or just take off in space? They just turned off the feed, even though it was crystal clear. Why not let the feed just keep going until it gets staticky and blurred out? No, they just shut off the feed. This is our last image. Good night, everybody. Roll credits, whatever. Number 4, Elon mentioned that the car was attached as is with no modifications. If that is true, then the tires would have detonated within seconds after entering the vacuum of space, destroying the fiberglass housing around it. Absolutely true. We put all sorts of objects into vacuum. In fact, I watched a cool little video this morning of put an NFL football in a vacuum chamber. Blew up right away. I mean, exploded. A tire can withstand a lot of pressure. So the tire would, but in vacuum space, it would blow up real quick, and the explosion would be pretty solid. And again, it would damage the fiberglass housing that's around it of the car. Did not happen. And lithium batteries, anything that's pressurized, any of the fluids that are pressurized in that car are going to blow and leak and destroy. It'd be horrible. And look, I'm going off of Elon's things. No, we just took the car, mounted it to the thing. Why would he make any changes to it? Why would he make it space ready? He didn't. He says, nope, it's a normal car. He was very clear about this. So, and we're talking, you couldn't even put those tires in the car if they were deflated, because the inside of those tires wouldn't be a perfect vacuum. You would basically have to, the only way you could get this to work, and I thought about this quite a bit, you'd have to slash the tires to do it. And hope to God that the slash was enough to let all the atmosphere leak out immediately. Anyway, number 5, standard car safety glass is not rated to survive temperature swings of that magnitude. Pour hot water onto a frozen, sorry, rattling papers around, onto a frozen windshield and see what happens. Anyone that lives in a cold environment, you know this full well. And that is, you're a cold morning, you have a frozen windshield. Nobody recommends that you pour hot water onto that windshield. I have seen windshields spiderweb and shatter, just go because and that's just hot water. That's going from 30 degrees or 20 degrees Fahrenheit to whatever it is, boiling, let's say 100 degrees. That's not that big of a swing, and we're talking negative 200 to positive what? What is it supposedly? Come on. Number 6, last time I checked, this doesn't go on for much longer, there were 2 companies tied to this project, SpaceX and Tesla, the latter being public. 3 different cameras and not a single logo is visible. American corporations would have paid top dollar to be anywhere on this vehicle. Every inch of that car and uniform should have been covered with a brand. NASCAR pick attached. At the very least, Tesla and SpaceX. While we're at it, why not use the Tesla flagship car, the 4-door sedan, instead of the cheaper Roadster built on a Lotus frame? Then you could charge millions for seat icons. Stormtrooper in the driver's seat, Borg riding shotgun, put Groot in the back with Iron Man. That's 4 companies, by the way. And a quick response to the privately held company reporting the truth. They are correct, although probably weren't framing it in the easiest way. When large sums of money or fame are involved, most people, and by that I mean mostly men, will lie, cheat, and steal, and sometimes kill for it. Greed is one of the 7, after all, 7 deadly sins. Private companies are really no different than governmental agencies, with the exception that they, almost done, need to go through less red tape in creating their deception. Enron happened. The financial crisis happened. SpaceX has been in bed with NASA since the beginning. Think that's a stretch? Where did they launch from? NASA should have a vested interest to keep their $20 billion a year budget intact, and SpaceX threatens that by diverting funds with successful missions. There are a lot of plot holes in the World Space Agency story. You just have to look for them. And that basically is it. That's the end of the article that I did for him. And that's going to be the end of this show. Remember, if you want to email me anything, send it to msargent23@comcast.net. And until next time, guys, stay flat.